All right, students, back at it once again. Welcome, everyone. I'm glad that everyone is back for our Sundays class. Glad to see you guys. We got a wonderful class coming up. Some people already are trying to figure out what it's going to be about, and I'm glad to have you guys with me on this one right here. We've been doing a lot of studies in endocrinology, a lot of studies in hormones, and I did not want to forget about this temporary endocrine gland that we have up here called the placenta. And if everybody's online, I get a chance to go deep into this one. So, ladies, if you had the opportunity to become pregnant, you have those maternity blessings. You have this ability to bear a child, and that is a God-given responsibility, God-given right, birthright. And I want to share some information with our evolution of life forms over thousands of years. And we got to start off with one particular hormone and one particular temporary gland. And we started off with the placenta. Now we know that the placenta is a structure of organ structure that is really responsible for the exchange between the mother and the fetus. So we know that there has to be an exchange of nutrients. There has to be a gas exchange because the fetus doesn't have any lungs. So the fetus will have to exchange the gas through this placenta. Now the placenta is around 1 pound as it grows, and it also is about 10 inches. So it grows and it moves around as the fetus moves. But very peculiar how it is developed. It is stimulated by the ovaries, and the ovaries has a corpus luteum, and the corpus luteum basically gives the power to the placenta. And it starts off with this one particular hormone called the human chorionic gonadotropin hormone, and that helps the placenta grow. This hormone is activated as soon as the zygote makes its implantation in the uterus. Wherever that may be, it is a plasma cell membrane, and that's where the zygote makes its implantation, and then the hormone can help the placenta grow. So we know that's going to be there for this full term, 9 months, and there's going to be an exchange of amino acids, exchange of fatty acids, glucose. That's all there for the energy in the growth cycle. So what I did was blew up this section right here so you can see. This is the umbilical cord that comes out of the placenta, but there's going to be an exchange. There's the mother's arterioles, the arteries, and she has her venules, and there's a big storage of blood in this area right here. And also there's going to be the baby's arterioles and its venules that's going to also make this exchange. So this human chorionic gonadotropin hormone is a water-soluble hormone. That means it can bind to other places. And the placenta acts as an endocrine gland because it's taking the progesterone from the corpus luteum, it's taking the estrogen from the corpus luteum, and this is what keeps the breast enlarged. It also creates the lactation for the prolactin starts to rise. So progesterone is now being secreted from the placenta, as well as the estrogen is being secreted from the placenta. So we need it because we don't want to have a premature birth because of the contractions that can happen. Progesterone is needed for that purpose. But the other amazing thing that the this HCG, the human chorionic gonadotropin hormone, does is that it fights infections. So we know that there's going to be some fetal transfers, some maternal transfer cells, and there could be a virus there. And this is what's going to protect the fetus from getting that virus. So this hormone, HCG, blocks or suppresses the mother's immune system so that the placenta and the fetus won't be attacked by the mother's immune system. So that's one key component right there, because the fetus and the placenta is a foreign object to the uterus. And without the corpus luteum letting the pituitary gland and the hypothalamus gland know to send out signals to the immune cells, say, hey, we have a placenta, we have an implantation, we have a fertilized egg here. We don't need to attack the fetus and the placenta. So a very important function of the placenta right there. Another very important hormone that you must know about the placenta is that it has the ability to find out how much concentration of energy is being stored right there in the placenta, and also how much the food supply, the nutrient supply is there. So we already know that it helps regulate. This particular hormone, human placental lactogen hormone, is only there during pregnancy. It's there to find out how much energy is needed for the growth and development. So those are four that are very important for the placenta. So one of the main ones that a lot of people may not know about is called relaxin. Relaxin is the hormone that's secreted from the placenta when she's about to go into labor. All right, so she will be dilating, and there will be an increase of blood flow going to the heart of the baby as well as the mother. But as the baby is about to push out, more of this hormone is being released because it helps those ligaments and joints start to expand, making them more flexible, making them like the SI joint starts to become more flexible, and that's a very important hormone. So relaxin is something that is only secreted during that time. I found out that relaxin is also produced in males. So you may want to further your research on that, but that is a very key hormone that I want to go over before we get into all of the genetics that's going on behind postpartum. So we know parturition, postpartum, we have evolved. And I want to talk about a little bit of evolution because we may be thinking that we are supposed to have two genders. And I wanted to kind of clarify that because I want to make this more of an awareness class. I don't have a lot of urge to really fix this problem because these are genetics. We can't really change these things because they have mutated over time. And they also have become some errors right after, some genetic errors that happen right after parturition. So I want to first let you guys know that there is an exchange of fetal cells that is going to the mother, whether this is a Y chromosome. We all know that we are born a female. We are created as a female until the androgen hormone starts to read that Y chromosome. So as a female, it should be two X's. As a male, it should be an X and a Y. But we all know that in this transfer during the umbilical cord, there is a bidirectional cell traffic that happens between the mother and the fetus, and those cross over the brain barrier. All right, so I understand that there will be some microchimeric cells inside of the mother's brain. And I found out that being that this whole after the pandemic and everything, it really made me go much more into microbiology. And I found out this term called chimera. Chimera is a single individual that is made up of two or more DNA. It can be two or more DNA. It can have other individuals' DNA in it. So as I'm speaking about this, I want to give you an example. Say for instance, the mother was pregnant with twins, and I want to use the example that the other twin is a boy and a girl. The girl actually died off. She miscarried the female fetus, and she noticed that the male that was born, he actually was able to absorb the cells from his female twin. So I like to call that the parasitic twin, where they partially absorb some of the fetal cells and they become a autocytic twin. So he becomes his own twin, all right? So he has two sets of DNAs. He also may have two sets of blood types. So 69% could be type O, or 31% could be type A. So I'm bringing this up because as these genetic mutations are happening, like 1 out of 10,000 people are chimeras. And that's with a 9 billion, almost 9 billion people population. We need to know that there's going to be many more genetic mutations. And I may be saying some things that people may not want to hear, but the awareness needs to be there because society is changing. And in pregnancy, this is the only natural form of what they call chimericism. This is happening only within the where there's a placenta at. So this has been related in a lot of studies, a linkage to autoimmune disease, and there's also been some blessings within the maternity, because if this mother happens to have a thyroid condition, some type of tumor was on her breast, and matter of fact, this did happen to one of my clients. She had breast cancer, small tumors on her breast, and what was found out is that these cells right here targeted the tumor in the breast, and they actually healed it. So these are some blessings that happened because she was pregnant. Now, I just happened to just give her some things that can help nourish the baby, but the Most High ended up healing his mother. So I also want to let you know that the maternal cells also enter into the baby's heart, the baby's pancreas, even the skin cells are all basically genetically inherited from that mother. And those cells will last in that baby forever. So for a son that's growing up, he's 13 years old, and he's wondering why his mother always seems to know what's wrong with him. She's always looking over my shoulder. Well, your mother actually is your shoulder because she's inside of you, and she lives with you forever. So I just wanted to let that be known, because even the mother that is 80 years old has Y chromosomes in her brain. So the pregnancy brain still lives, and she always knows what's going on with her son, or she always knows what's going on with her daughter. She can have 8 children and still have all of those microchimeric cells in her body. So if there was ever a reason why they say mothers or women live longer, maybe it's because of these microchimeric cells. So I just wanted that to be known. I think that's very, very interesting, and it led me more and more to the studies of this. And I've been knowing about 5 different genders. I know we grew up thinking that there were 2, but as time goes on, I've learned that there is other genders out there that we must become aware about. And I know that we have some social influences that may turn a person or psychologically make them turn a different gender. But there's also some genetic components. There's also some biochemical components that are making this thing happen. Now, as you know, we talked about last week about testosterone building. And I led off with a condition called Klinefelter's syndrome. It's when a man has low testosterone, very low testosterone. He's infertile. He doesn't make any sperm. And that chromosomal will be XXY. All right, so this is a boy born with an extra X chromosome. And it may not be inherited completely. It could be that a genetic error happened right there in the womb. So this could be because the X chromosome is known to come from the mother's side, but it doesn't mean that the X chromosome is the cause. So a lot of people like to blame things on the mother's side, but all of us have an X chromosome. And to understand this conception is that with Klinefelter syndrome, the male ends up being very low muscle mass. He has very little facial hair. And he also doesn't produce any sperm, but he is a XXY chromosome. That means that he has some female characteristics. So if I was to show you guys a picture, I'm going to post these pictures today. A man with man boobs and hips would be the Klinefelter's syndrome. Okay, so this is more like a genetic error. Yeah, so it happens right there in the womb. And I'm going to give some reasons why this could have happened. And this is happening like more and more often now. And I'm going to give some reasons behind that in a second. But we also have a condition called the triple X syndrome. The triple X syndrome is there when a genetic disorder with a woman. So you can only have triple X if you're a woman. This woman happens to be very tall. She's probably around 6'2", and she's overly developed, I would say, big breasts. And but she has a lower intelligence, and she has very low muscle tone because she has no testosterone at all. And they would say that she had delayed speech and she has ADHD. And this person would also have flat feet. So I'm going to share some pictures of that as well. But you will notice this person, this triple X syndrome, is when their eyes are very far apart. And this person does not have to be tall all the time, but they're usually taller than the average height for a woman. So that is another condition called the triple X syndrome. Now I know you guys are wondering, why did I decide to go into all of these different, we're talking about biology here, and the reason why is because these hormones like androgen, the AR gene, the androgen receptor gene, is what's going to determine whether testosterone is in the body to turn into a male and develop male characteristics, or if that male is insensitive or not to those hormones. So there is a condition called androgen IAS. So you may see AIS. So it's androgen insensitivity syndrome. And infants that are complete AIS, they appear to be female at birth, right? But they don't have a uterus, and they don't have ovaries, and they don't have fallopian tubes. And this appears to be a male, appears to be a female, but their testicles are actually hidden inside of the abdominal cavity. All right, actually inside of the pelvis. So I've seen conditions where there was one testicle that did not descend. This is a time where it should be happening within the first 6 months of pregnancy, but the testicles are hidden. So this would be the hidden male, as they would say, the hidden male syndrome, where it's actually a female, they develop breasts, but there's no facial hair, there's no armpit hair, there's no pubic hair. They're very insensitive to androgen, so they're not able to pick up any type of male hormones at all. All right, so that is one condition that they would call the XY chromosome, or the XY women. That's the reason why I put that up here. But there is a such thing as an XY woman. All right, so the next one would be similarly like androgen insensitive syndrome would be a person that is genetically born a male, but he's also resistant to the androgen, the male hormones, but he may have both female and male physical characteristics. So he may have a outer vagina, and he may have a enlarged clitoris, but he doesn't have a cervix and he doesn't have a uterus. So he would probably be more susceptible to estrogen, and this would be more of the XY male, but he is androgen insensitive. So I know I just blew everybody's mind about all of these different sexes, all of these different genders, I would say, because sex is not now, it's not gender specific anymore. There's been cases where transgender was once a male, but he had a baby, so and then they had to fight for that in court for having their birth certificate have father on it, but it was very spontaneous, very not of the normal, I would say, but these are things that are becoming the norm, and these are genetic mutations. So about this X chromosome and the reason why a person would possibly go through AIS, or androgen insensitive syndrome. My theory is that we have been basically living in a sea of estrogen. We have been living in a place where there's xenobiotics, and my theory is that a lot of people that have been stuck with all of these endocrine disruptors over decades, like I noted in a video, I talked about the gay bomb, and I'm saying that because I know those words may be a little derogatory, but there is a actual official government plan called the gay bomb, if you go look it up. And these are basically the dumping of endocrine disruptors in our society. And this happened maybe over 50 years ago. But even genetically, as a natural microchimeric cell, this can happen maybe thousands of years ago, and it continues to keep mutating, and more are starting to happen. But I believe that, the endocrine disruptors have changed this scenario. Just like if you go look up atrazine turns the frogs, the female frogs into male frogs, and that is also in our water supply. So you may want to look up those things about how androgen sensitivity is being the blame for all of these genetic mutations, as well as the evolution of the Homo sapien. So I just wanted to make everybody aware of what has been going on out here. What's been going on out here? So I brought up about postpartum, maybe some people may think it's depression, but it may not always be depression. It could be just those 4 to 7 days that a mother goes through because of the psychological changes, because of the physical changes. She be going through what I call the 4th trimester, the baby blues. And dads actually go through this too. I call it the sad dads. And they experience some changes in their testosterone. And really, I found this very, very interesting, is that dads have this animal instinct, and it's only activated during the last trimester, the 4th trimester of the woman. And when she's about to have the baby, going into labor, his prolactin levels start to rise. And it has been found in research studies about this particular organ called vomeronasal organ. And this is found right under, well, the anterior part of your septum in your navel cavity. All right, and it's using the olfactory bulb to be able to sense pheromones that are coming from, well, in humans, it comes from when the mother is pregnant. So this paternal instinct starts to increase because his prolactin levels has been risen, and it makes him a better dad. And he can also be going through what they call postpartum depression for fathers, would be when he feels kind of excluded from the bonding that the mothers and the child would have, and he also becomes very stressed. You can have some cortisol levels rising as well, because as a new parent, he can feel stressed based on whatever is going on at the moment. It could be financial, anything. But I want to throw these things in about the differences in really the sad dads and the baby blues is similar. The mothers could last a lot longer. So instead of like 4 to 7 days, mothers can have this last for longer than 6 months sometimes, because they can feel very sad that the baby's not inside of them anymore. They can feel their appetites change, and also just feeling kind of hopeless and depressed about what's going on, what's going to happen in life after this, you know. So a lot of mood changes, trouble sleeping, and I didn't really have a lot of products to share, you know, about helping mothers, but I do have things to help her psychologically. I do have things to keep her energy up and keep her mental clarity in place. So I would love for her to start using some adaptogens. I have an adaptogen formula called Stress Adapter, and it definitely has the ashwagandha, the rhodiola. So I'll put those herbs up here. That way you can research these as adaptogens for anybody that is going through postpartum depression. But as far as the genetic parts of it, people, you cannot change what nature is already doing, but at the same time, this has been manipulated to a certain extent, you know, because of all of the endocrine disruptors that are out there. And I've never seen anybody put together, well, maybe, I mean, I read the research studies and basically create the connections. So if you want to look up some things that'll help, I think L-theanine, the amino acid called L-theanine, can help out with the mental clarity. So L-theanine, it can help her out psychologically, go through those changes. And of course, the stress adapter, the main ingredients here is the rhodiola and ashwagandha. Alright. And I did put up another one up here because I think that ginseng is awesome. Helps our energy and our mood. And if you add that with like maybe a sumac root or a ginkgo, something that can increase the increase the oxygen to the brain, I would use the Stay Alive formula. So ginseng is one of the main things in here. And I would use the Korean ginseng. Use the Korean ginseng. It's much better. There's like 3 different types of ginsengs out there. Eleuthero rose, suma root, are all ginseng family as well. So I know that you guys may have some questions about this. I am not an expert. I just really want to share and make you guys aware of all of the genetic genders that we have now. And androgen insensitivity is a real thing. It is very real. I wanted to see you guys' questions. Wow. Wow. So guys, this is our final class. I won't be testing on this particular class. I only wanted to share the temporary endocrine gland. I also wanted to make you guys aware of what microchimerism is. You'll find that some people are already dealing with the chimera. There's a study that I recently just read about brothers. The mother that has about 5 boys, and the last boy ended up having more of the XXY chromosomes. I don't know why that happened, but maybe it's because of the birth control, I'm thinking. But there's a lot of different speculations on that. All right. So how you guys are doing? What you guys think? Any questions so far? Yes. Swayer's syndrome is another form of the XY woman, and also Morris syndrome. You'll see Morris syndrome. Actually, Mr. Tramiel just brought up Swayer's, and I wanted to bring up Morris syndrome so you guys will know. I believe that, Miss Alana, I believe that this has been going on for thousands of years, where an individual could have both sexes, both characteristics, male and female characteristics, and it just been increased over the years based on the endocrine disruption. So. I mean, it's all in the water. It's all in the water. All right. So, you will always be in your mother's heart. She will always be in your mother's, in your heart. It's amazing that they try to base things off of the paternal side, because the actual bond is right there. It'll always be there. And you guys, I mean, ladies that are going through maternity, you guys are blessed. Right? You guys are blessed. And must give thanks. So I know that I want you guys to further information, but of course, we have tests coming up soon. Our final will be issued out more than likely Tuesday, Wednesday, it will be issued out. And we're going to base things mostly on herbs, of course, but some of the information that we have taught over this whole semester, we have done approximately 8 classes. And I will go over the ones that we have had homework on, because that allows you to know more about what you've already studied, and hopefully, I don't see any more questions. Hopefully everybody can pass the test. I know that this is mostly chemistry, herbology, and especially biology. But I just want to say I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys joining me on this semester. You guys have done great as far as turning everything in on turning all your homework in on time, and I really enjoyed reading some of those homework assignments. And I want you guys to further your information. So get prepared next week. If you have not turned in any of your homework, if it's late in any form, you can turn it in this week that's coming up, and we will be closing out probably by Saturday or Monday of next week, and after the test and everything is turned in. So I really appreciate you guys. I give thanks. I see you guys. Hopefully you can join me next semester. All right.